It was supposed to be a normal day for Ain, a single mom juggling twins, a dead-end job, and a life that felt like it was falling apart. But when she opened her front door that morning, she found a man lying in a pool of blood, clutching a USB drive. His last words? "Protect this. Your husband died for it." Ain didn't know it yet, but that tiny USB held secrets powerful enough to topple governments, and now someone was coming to kill her for it. How did a struggling mom become the target of a deadly conspiracy? To understand, we have to go back to the beginning. The story starts with Ain, a mom who deserves a round of applause. Every day, Ain juggles the chaos of raising twins with a creative spark that leaves you in awe. And trust me, when life throws curveballs, Ain turns them into genius solutions. The video opens with an everyday miracle. Picture this. Ain's twins are in the bathroom, and one of them declares, "We brushed last night." Without missing a beat, Ain replies, "That means if we don't brush today, because we did it yesterday, we shouldn't eat today. No snacks, no fried chicken." Problem solved. With just a few witty sentences, she transforms a potential meltdown into pure order. It's brilliant, and it sets the tone for everything that follows. But Ain's day is far from over. With the morning light barely breaking through, she's already in full battle mode, wrestling one kid in each arm as she hustles them onto the school bus. She's not only a superhero at home, she's determined to ease the burden on her husband by finding a job near home. Even though she's a top-notch graduate, years spent as a stay-at-home mom have left companies unimpressed. At one interview, a manager dismisses her with a condescending, "I'm the boss. I can ask whatever I want," reducing her years of sacrifice to mere troublemaking. Ain fires back, "I need money to pay rent and raise 2 kids." Though the manager softens his tone, she leaves feeling defeated and frustrated by a system that refuses to see her true value. The screen then shifts to the raw, unfiltered realities of Ain's life. We see her sipping cheap sidewalk coffee, her determined face as she hunts for bargains in grocery stores, and the never-ending weight of massive bags full of her children's things. Every frame is a reminder of the sacrifices that mothers make every day. A glimpse into both the heartbreak and the inspiration that drives Ain forward. Let's give this amazing mom a big thumbs up, because her struggles and triumphs are something we can all relate to. Ain has always been fiercely independent, never one to ask for help or to complain, yet her husband paints a very different picture. One evening, he stumbles into their cluttered home, a mess of clothes and scattered toys, and steps on one of the kids' favorite toys. "Ouch!" he exclaims, and soon he's exploding with anger. In classic fashion, he throws his coat on the floor, dumps his socks, flops onto the couch, and when Ain calls him out, he shrugs it off with, "I'm tired from work." It's a story as old as time, one side living in chaos, the other too wrapped up in himself to notice. Finally, Ain reaches her breaking point. "I work all day," she declares, voice trembling with exhaustion. "Cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids. I never get a break. Do you have any idea how exhausting this is?" In that charged moment, she decides enough is enough. She packs her things and leaves, even though her husband has the nerve to accuse her of planning this departure all along. Should we give this guy the boot? Most of us would, and Ain is ready to start a new chapter. In the downpour that night, Ain rushes out with a single suitcase in hand. There's no phone, no money, just a storm of tears and regret. At a bus shelter, soaked and heartbroken, she fumbles through her bags in panic. In her hurry, she grabs the wrong bag, a bag stuffed with the remnants of her twins' toys instead of her coat. As if fate isn't cruel enough, a stranger appears. Spooked, Ain clutches her kid's toy gun. Is he a stalker? She wonders. In the ensuing scuffle, the stranger tumbles to the ground, but it turns out this clumsy intruder is none other than her neighbor, Kim Bon. He's accidentally found her lost wallet and, with a mix of concern and confusion, tells her to go home and take care of her kids. It's awkward, unexpected, and it stings. Leaving home only to be forced to come right back is not how you imagine a new beginning. So who is Kim Bon? Behind those unassuming eyes lies a secret. Kim Bon is a top-secret agent, codenamed Terrace. On the run from his own organization, He's been hiding out just across the street from Ain. His life is meticulously controlled. His apartment boasts high-tech security, a stark contrast to the disordered chaos of Ain's home. When Ain hesitates at her door, she's surprised to find everything pristine. Her clothes are dry cleaned, the house immaculate. In that moment, her anger softens into a small, relieved smile. Perhaps, she thinks, she needed that little explosion to clear her head. The very next morning, another shock awaits. Ain wakes to find that her husband is missing. A note is left behind. "I'm sorry, honey. Use this money to buy new clothes." For a moment, hope flutters in her heart. Maybe he finally understands. But the joy is short-lived. At the market, her husband witnesses a horrifying murder. In a burst of courage, he confronts the killer, only to find that revenge is a game with deadly stakes. The killer, unseen until the last moment, slips in just before his building's door shuts. Later that evening, as Ain lovingly prepares a meal and waits for her husband's return, her phone remains silent. When it finally rings, a security guard is on the scene, and in a desperate rush, they bring him to the hospital. But it's too late. Her husband is dead. One day he was here, full of life. The next he's gone. In a mix of grief and disbelief, Ain demands an autopsy, unable to understand how someone so seemingly healthy could be taken away so suddenly. Meanwhile, the threads of fate grow even darker. The killer reports back to his boss, the very CEO who once dismissed Ain in that callous interview. In a twist of irony, the CEO sends the killer abroad, but the killer isn't finished yet. He drops a bomb, a witness exists, and he's already taken care of them. He even sends the witness's address back to the boss. At home, Ain is left to deal with the unimaginable. As she handles her husband's funeral, she asks a trusted neighbor to watch her kids. But in a heart-stopping moment, while the neighbor's attention slips, the killer strikes again, this time kidnapping her children. A frantic call comes in. The kids are missing, and Ain's heart shatters. "Call the cops!" she screams over the phone, voice cracking with desperation. In the blink of an eye, chaos erupts. The building's residents mobilize into action. A frantic search ensues. 10 minutes tick by since the kids vanished from a nearby park. Suddenly, a witness reports that the children were seen with a mysterious man dressed in black near the park. The killer, realizing he stepped into a hornet's nest of enraged moms, tries to change course, but it's too late. Surrounded by a swarm of furious women, he abandons the children and flees. In that breathtaking moment, Ain races from the funeral home with red, tear-filled eyes. She finds her children huddled in safety and wraps them in a desperate embrace. Relief washes over the crowd. But for Kim Bon, a different question lingers. As he watches from his quiet, guarded home, he wonders, why is Ain's family caught in this deadly web? Determined to protect them from the shadows, he vows to keep a watchful eye, even if it means risking everything. After her husband's tragic death, Ain's life takes on a new, grueling rhythm. Mornings find her delivering milk and juggling a second job as a kitchen assistant. Evenings are consumed by endless cleaning and the tender care of her kids. Late at night, while the world sleeps, she weeps in solitude, a raw, honest testament to the price of love and sacrifice. Then a call comes that promises a ray of hope. A company she once interviewed with wants her as an executive assistant. Excited by the possibility of a fresh start, Ain signs the contract, unaware of a sinister twist. The CEO, whose earlier interview left her bruised, has ulterior motives. His underling was behind her husband's death, and this job is merely a way to keep her under his surveillance. Desperate to solve her childcare crisis, Ain hires a nanny. But fate has a strange sense of humor. The nanny turns out to be completely unprofessional, forever glued to her phone. Sensing an opportunity, Kim Bon steps in. "Ever seen a nanny this handsome?" he jokes even as he surveys the scene. The kids, surprisingly well-behaved, greet him with a mix of curiosity and adoration. The older sister offers him tea, while the younger brother presents a piece of candy, small gestures that begin to bridge the gap between chaos and comfort. Yet the day still holds many surprises. Later that morning, the building manager calls Ain about a stolen bike. Security footage reveals a man who bears an eerie resemblance to her late husband, sneaking through a dark underpass as if he's being followed. Moments later, a shadowy figure in black appears. It becomes chillingly clear. Someone has been trying to kill her husband, and the killer is now on the move. Kim Bon, who's been quietly connecting all the dots, suddenly vanishes just as things grow even more intense. At home, Ain replays every moment of the day, every argument, every harsh word exchanged. Regret and sorrow intertwine as she realizes that she'd once criticized her husband for not considering her feelings, yet she had never truly understood his own hidden struggles. In a heart-wrenching confession, she admits that only after his death did she begin to grasp the sacrifices he made. Love, she learns, is about empathy and understanding. The next morning, despite the pain, Ain forces a smile as she takes her kids to school. A sweet-nosed kiss goodbye from the twins reminds her that even in the darkest times, moments of tenderness can shine through. But while Ain is off facing the day, Kim Bon is busy at work, this time investigating a mystery at the Minister of Public Safety's private office. There, an unexpected fight breaks out, and his old teammate, Gon, reappears after 3 long years. Gon reveals startling news. The minister has been murdered and witnesses are out there. However, due to a leak within the National Intelligence Agency, Gon is forced to keep his lips sealed. Before picking up the kids, Kim Bon secretly attaches a tracking device to Gon's jacket. Every clue counts now, and every move must be precise. As Kim Bon drives the twins to the park, Gon trails quietly behind. Even in the midst of high-stakes espionage, there are moments of absurdity. A hidden microphone gifted by a niece here, a misplaced tracking device there, all adding layers of both humor and tension to this already volatile situation. Back at work, Ain's day has taken an unexpected detour. Her boss's constant indecision about lunch turns her schedule upside down, and a surprise delivery of a ridiculously expensive handbag, a 100 million won stunner, leaves her momentarily speechless. On her way home, a mishap occurs. She accidentally damages her own bag and is suddenly flooded with memories. After her baby was born, her husband had given her a large sum of money for a designer bag, a symbol of love and luxury that she never quite embraced. Instead, she settled for a much cheaper knockoff that still brought her joy. Now, staring at her damaged bag, frustration mixes with nostalgia. At the handbag store, Ain crosses paths with Gon, Kim Bon's colleague. Gon tells her that the designer bags aren't really for sale. A spark of arrogance flares in Ain as she retorts, "I was just looking anyway. Even if they were for sale, I wouldn't buy them." With that, she storms off. Later at dinner, when Ain asks her kids about their day, her son Jim blurts out a confused, "Huh?" and describes a bizarre exercise routine the nanny had taught them. Ain laughs and cries at the same time, realizing that Kim Bon has been working tirelessly to tire out the kids, an effort that feels both absurd and deeply human. Then disaster strikes again. Ain discovers she's left her phone at the office. Desperate, she rushes with the kids to Kim Bon's apartment, hoping he can watch them. But when they arrive, Kim Bon is gone. With no other option, Ain takes the kids to the office, warning them to behave. As the day unfolds, Ain searches high and low for her missing phone, checking every corner of the office and even her boss's desk, but it's nowhere to be found. Suddenly, a stomach ache hits her hard. She tells the kids to stay put. They obey, albeit half-heartedly. The twins wander into the boss's office, where they find a beautifully wrapped gift box. Inside is a pristine white designer handbag, an expensive treasure that stands in stark contrast to the day's earlier chaos. When Ain finally returns, panic sets in. Her children have vanished from the office, and in the ensuing chaos, they're found in a mess. The kids have managed to ruin the expensive handbag. Their mischief leaves the bag in shambles, and as tears stream down their faces, Ain's heart breaks all over again. How could a day that began with clever solutions and hopeful possibilities end in such heartbreak? Throughout this roller coaster day, the stakes continue to rise. Kim Bon, ever vigilant, hears snippets of conversations that hint at a deeper mystery. Why is Ain's family caught in a web of danger and betrayal? Why does every twist and turn lead to more questions? As he pieces together clues from the stolen bike footage and the sudden appearance of a man in black, he begins to suspect that someone is targeting Ain's family. Determined to uncover the truth, He vows to protect them at any cost. And so, amidst the everyday challenges of a single mom's life, the next scene begins when the boss shows up at Ane's house to return her phone. He knocks, but there's no answer. Later, after finishing his workout, Kim Bon bumps into the boss right in front of the elevator. Their eyes lock as the elevator doors close. The boss asks about Ane, but Kim Bon is skeptical. "Why are you so interested in her?" he demands. The boss shrugs. "I'm doing a favor for a neighbor." Kim Bon presses, "A favor? Like a house cleaner?" The boss scoffs. "I'm her nanny." "Nanny?" Kim Bon can't believe it. The boss clearly never imagined that a guy like him could be a nanny. He pulls out Ane's phone to prove it, and in that moment, Kim Bon's demeanor turns frosty. Their brief exchange ends with tension hanging in the air. Meanwhile, Ane is struggling to carry her two kids home when Kim Bon suddenly appears out of nowhere, startling her. Seeing her burden, alone with a bag and two children, he instinctively steps in to help. At her doorstep, he hands her the phone and explains that her boss had just been there. Ane's eyes widen in terror. "My boss came to my house?" she gasps. Kim Bon, puzzled, can't quite understand her panic. After all, a boss personally returning a phone is unusual, but not dangerous, right? Desperate for answers, Ane quickly calls her friend, the handbag expert. After examining the damaged bag, the expert is shocked. "This bag is worth 100 million won," she declares. She's seen her fair share of expensive bags, but never one like this, missing a label or the mark of a famous brand. Ane explains it's handmade by a renowned Italian artisan. The expert asks her to take detailed pictures of a small tag hidden inside the box. She promises a connection with a friend in Italy who might reveal more about it. Ane feels both touched and overwhelmed, knowing that facing her boss the next day could mean a complete meltdown. Later, the boss opens the box. It's a huge surprise. Despite Ane's profuse apologies, the boss isn't interested in compensation or the bag's price. He's furious, so furious that he dismisses her on the spot. Fired, with her job gone, Ane's world grows even grimmer. Determined to salvage something, Ane heads to a real estate agency. She plans to sell her house to cover the cost of the bag, but the agent warns her that a hasty sale could cost her about 30 million won. For a single mom like Ane, that's a fortune. Sighing in defeat, she leaves the agency and bumps into Kim Bon. He asks why she's out during work hours and whether she's thinking of selling her house. Unable to hide her desperation, Ane confesses everything. She explains how the mortgage on her apartment once kept her twins in line. After paying it off, she'd be left with just over 200 million won. After the cost of the bag, there wouldn't be much left. Regret fills her voice as she admits she's regretted taking that job. Kim Bon listens intently. When he asks for the name of her company, a memory surfaces, a murder investigation he once led that pointed to the same firm. His gut tells him something's very fishy about the whole setup. Not long after, Ane visits her neighbor to complain. She's frustrated that she can't learn the true import price of the bag, and her boss won't say a word. The only odd thing she noticed was a restricted room at the office, off limits to outsiders. Could there be a clue inside? Determined, Ane returns to the office and sneaks into that secret room. It's locked with a combination lock. In a moment of inspired rebellion, she pulls out her makeup compact and taps it lightly on the keypad. She notices that 3 of the numbers are slightly worn, as if they've been pressed repeatedly. Realizing some digits might be repeated, she starts guessing combinations. After a tense sequence of trial and error, the door finally swings open. Inside, her jaw drops. Countless designer handbags fill the room, each with English brand names boldly printed on the shelves. Ane's eyes are drawn to one bag in particular. When she picks it up, she finds a strange sequence of numbers embossed on the tag, numbers that are completely different from those on her damaged bag. Intrigued, she snaps photos of every tag and enters the sequences into an Excel spreadsheet, but no clear pattern emerges. She's completely baffled and even more determined to get to the bottom of this mystery. Meanwhile, Kim Bon is on his own mission. He's at the handbag store searching for his old partner, Gon. He had given Gon a picture of a killer along with details about Ane's company, and now they're off to observe the new head of national security. To their surprise, they find Ane's boss there. clutching one of the handbags. Kim Bon's mind flashes back to the day Ain was in tears over having to pay for the damaged bag. Suddenly, it all clicks. The company is a front for bribery. Worried sick for Ain, Kim Bon instructs Gon to keep a close watch and calls Ain in a frenzy, ordering her to leave the company immediately. He promises, "I'll be there soon." Ain is stunned. Just when she thought she'd uncovered a clue, Kim Bon's urgent voice cuts through the confusion. "Meet me. I miss you. Get your butt over here now." His tone is strange, but she can't ignore it. Still, she continues her investigation, sifting through her boss's computer and downloading a spreadsheet filled with names. As she leaves the office, a flash of memory stops her. A man from her job interview, the one who had attended her husband's funeral. Suddenly, she recalls that encounter clearly. This man, Moon Soo, had a presence that seemed too significant to ignore. She calls Kim Bon immediately, asking him to wait for her near her apartment building for half an hour. Hurriedly, she heads to the funeral home and speaks with an employee about Moon Soo. The employee explains that he's a high-ranking official, even having received a wreath from the president. He used to be the head of the National Security Agency. Curiosity and dread mix inside Oyin as she verifies his identity online. It becomes chillingly clear her company's clients include top government officials. And what about those mysterious numbers on the handbags? Could they be linked to money or something even darker? Overwhelmed, Ain calls Kim Bon with her major discovery. "My company is involved in something illegal. I went to the funeral home where my husband's service was held. The man I met there was the former head of the NSA, and he died the same day as my husband." Kim Bon mutters, "She figured it out," and tells her to be alert. "Check your surroundings for anything suspicious," he warns, "and don't talk about this to anyone. Call a cab and get to me now." His urgency sends a chill down her spine. As he hangs up, he calls Gon for an update, then calls back to check if Ain has left. Then, without warning, a black car screeches to a stop in front of Ain. "What do you want?" she yells just as kidnappers force their way into the vehicle. Miraculously, her phone is still on. Kim Bon, recognizing danger, races to his secret base. He dons his black tactical gear, storms into his weapons armory, and leaps onto his super-fast motorcycle. The hero has returned. He'd been prepared for this moment. A hidden tracking device in Ain's bag leads him on a frantic chase. In a heartbeat, Ain is snatched and taken to a grim warehouse. Tied up and desperate to escape, she struggles, but the ropes are too tight. Terror grips her. What will become of her children? Then the door creaks open, and her boss steps in. He roughly pulls off the gag from her mouth and sneers. "Ain?" She plays innocent, asking what she's done wrong. He scoffs. "Women like you are all stupid. You don't know your place." It turns out that when Ain had entered the room with the handbags, the security system had alerted him. He'd been watching everything. Now, in his anger, he says, "I warned you." He blames her for everything, accusing her of being curious about the bag's value, of taking pictures of the numbers. She tries to explain that she only showed them to a neighbor to ask about the price, but the neighbor claimed they'd never seen such a bag. Frustrated, he grabs her bag, finds the USB drive inside, and examines it. Seeing the terror in her eyes, he believes her, concluding that she probably doesn't know any critical secrets. Just then, Kim Bon roars onto the scene on his green motorcycle, a scene straight out of a Korean action movie. He dispatches the guards with precision. The commotion forces the boss to send a guard to check things out. The guard steps outside only to find his colleagues lying unconscious on the ground. In a panic, the boss orders Ain to pack up and leave immediately. Kim Bon, hidden nearby and ready to rescue her, watches as Ain steps out of the building. "Is anyone outside?" she calls out. Seeing the unconscious guard, she turns to her boss, who panics and jumps into his car. Ain, desperate and terrified, begs for a ride home, explaining that no taxis are around. But the boss coldly orders, "Walk, and you're fired, effective tomorrow." Alone and scared, Ain trudges through deserted streets, imagining ghosts at every corner. Then Kim Bon calls her, feigning ignorance about her kidnapping, as he asks, "Where are you?" In truth, he's following her, protecting her from the shadows. Soon a car pulls up, and Kim Bon appears once again. "Are you okay?" he asks gently. I almost peed myself, she admits, which brings a brief chuckle from him. He helps her into the car, and during the ride she reveals that she's now unemployed. Good, he says softly, though his words don't quite ease the tension. Kim Bon explains, "Didn't you think that company was strange today? I saw how shady they are. You almost got beaten up." She asks why he'd warned her to be extra careful and keep quiet. It's as if he already knew that she was in danger. He stammers, unable to offer a clear answer. In a moment of levity, Ain half jokes, "Do you and I have ESP?" Kim Bon plays along, claiming he might just know the future. But she isn't convinced. Once again, he urges her to remain silent about everything that's happened, warning that any slip could put her in even greater danger. Money worries soon come crashing back. With her job gone, Ain needs a new source of income, fast, just to pay for her kids' school. Meanwhile, her former boss is livid. He interrogates his guards about who knocked them out, and they claim they were so badly beaten, they almost have amnesia. "You don't remember, and there weren't any cameras," he sputters. One guard mumbles, "We took her to a place where no one would know, and there were no cameras." Even the boss is left speechless. The guard adds, "One thing's for sure, he was strong, really strong." After her dismissal, Kim Bon surprises Ayin by handing her a job advertisement for a handbag store. Gon asks why he cares so much, and then, in a shocking confession, admits that he is responsible for Ain's husband's death. Gon's revelation leaves him shaken, but Kim Bon stresses that Ain must never know this secret. The very next morning, Ain goes for the interview. She presents her ID and lists her experience. Gon grills her with a few questions before telling her to leave her number and wait for a call. Desperate for a fresh start, Ain mentions that she once worked for a high-end handbag company. Gon's interest peaks. "Did you examine their products closely?" he presses. "Yes, of course," she replies. "And who were those bags sold to?" he continues, and Ain, trying to piece it all together, admits that she noticed strange number sequences on them. Gon is even more surprised. "Do you have pictures? Will you get the job?" Aeon, with a spark of determination, pretends she has another interview lined up, threatening to go elsewhere if she isn't hired. "You'll start next week," Gon declares. Before showing him the pictures, she even asks about insurance. Seeing his intrigued expression, she boldly adds, "We can sign the contract now. I know more about these number sequences than anyone." During all this, Kim Bon finds moments of calm while playing with the kids. In a burst of excitement, Ain tells him she got the job. To celebrate, he takes her and the kids out for fast food. The kids love it, and he cares for them as if they were his own. Later, they head to the supermarket, where Kim Bon, noticing the kids' love for milk, adds several extra cartons to the cart. Grateful for his help, Ain buys him a bottle of wine. The day grows even more surreal when the kids spot a fish tank and beg for fish. Ain explains that buying a fish tank means a whole new level of chaos since they have nowhere to put it. Her daughter even suggests placing it on her bed so she and her brother could sleep with the fish. Ain refuses, but her son won't let go, forcing them to sit on the floor and protest. Ain almost ignores the commotion, but Kim Bon can't stand to see the kids upset, so he surprises them by buying the tank. Ain feels awkward watching her children so happy, and she tells him not to spoil them. But Kim Bon insists. He's secretly smitten with her and her kids, even if he tries to play it cool. As she tours his clean, minimalist home, she asks, "Do you cook often?" "Sometimes," he replies. Suddenly, one of the kids shouts, "Uncle, your house is so clean." Ain shushes them, but they can't be quiet. The house, once silent and empty, now buzzes with life. Kim Bon watches the joyful chaos, a quiet smile on his face reflecting on how much his life has changed since he became their unexpected guardian. That evening, Ain starts her new job. She greets her manager, Du, with enthusiasm, only to be met with a curt remark. "You're 5 minutes early. Next time, be on time." Stunned by his tone, she hurriedly explains that she came early to tidy up. A customer walks in, and Ain, trying to stay cheerful, greets her. But Du cuts in sharply. "We open at 10. Please come back later." Ain scrambles, showing the customer a stylish bag. But inside, she wonders, Is this job really worth it? Exhaustion and doubt mix as she rearranges the store's bags, murmuring about the thin staff and the company's profits. If the store goes bankrupt, the owner won't pay us, Du jokes darkly. You're worrying too much, and he adds. Meanwhile, Gon meets with the head of the National Intelligence Agency. She hands over information about Ain, details about the witness's wife. Furious, Gon demands, "Why give me the wife's information when I need the witness?" Gon explains that the witness is dead, and they're forced to investigate through Ain. He nods gravely, reminding her of the need for secrecy. Later, Ain's boss finds a notebook she left behind, one that lists all his preferences. Impressed by her attention to detail, he meets her after work to ask if she made it home safely. With a strained smile, Ain thanks him. He even compliments her by saying, "If you were stranded on a desert island, I bet you'd swim to shore." His flattery makes her blush. He then offers her her old job back, but she declines, already desperate for a new start. Kim Bon's team is busy reviewing the investigation of the boss's company when a loud siren suddenly blares. On the monitors, Ain's neighbors are storming into the secret NIA base. They're shouting, "Something's up with that fashion store. It's always empty." It turns out Ain had invited them to help with a photo shoot. The building manager, eager to boost the store's image, gave Ain a stylish handbag and set her up with a professional photo shoot, reflecting light off carefully arranged paper. Kim Bon's team is dumbfounded. What's with the fashion shoot? The building manager insists that Ain's elegant pose will attract customers. Soon the photos are posted online, and the store is buzzing with activity. The next morning, customers flood the store. Ain is busy, but some customers seem unusually subdued. One even mutters, "Why is she so enthusiastic?" Kim Bon sits on a bench, watching, amazed by Ain's passion and dedication. He then heads home to care for the twins, who are fascinated by the new fish tank. The kids argue over what to name it, finally settling on Uncle, which works in English too. A text from Gon pops up. Ain was amazing. She sold all the bags in a single day. Kim Bon chuckles as the kids ask him why he's laughing. He asks them, "What's your mom best at?" Yelling, calling grandma, cleaning, hanging laundry, cooking leftovers. Their playful answers leave him torn between laughter and tears, because to them, she's just a hard-working mom, but at work she's a brilliant saleswoman. That evening, as the day winds down, Kim Bon waits for Ain in the building lobby. When she finally calls out to him, asking if he's there, he denies it, claiming he was just taking out the trash. Grateful for his help with the kids, she hands him a small gift, a pretty wallet. "Before the bags sold out, I bought this for you," she explains, adding that she even tucked her salary inside. "Thanks for taking care of my kids. It let me focus on work." Kim Bon is deeply touched. The next morning, as Kim Bon checks intelligence reports, he uncovers a shocking detail. Ain is now the next target for elimination. Heart pounding, he rushes to the bus stop, relieved to see her among other moms and their children. But his instincts prick him. He spots a glint of light in a nearby building. His eyes narrow as he sees a potential assassin on a high floor. Memories of his murdered ex-girlfriend flash by, fueling his urgency. He leaps forward, hugging a group of startled people. Then he glances back to see the source, a mom calmly applying makeup. Ain's eyes widen in confusion as she notices him frozen in place. Neighbors chatter, praising his hero saving his girlfriend moment, though his expression tells a different story. Before Ain can question him further, the building manager calls a meeting. The atmosphere turns tense as everyone eyes Ain suspiciously. "Is it true?" the manager demands, but Ain denies it. "Why did he run and hug you this morning?" he presses. Ain admits that she always thought Kim Bon was odd, always up at the crack of dawn exercising, and only buying soy milk from the bakery. Back at home, Kim Bon retreats and reviews the intel on his computer. He wonders, why did that specific photo suddenly appear in the neighborhood and on his boss's monitor? Meanwhile, Ain is at work and business is booming. Since joining the company, she's become the star salesperson. New items are being stocked and everyone praises her skills. Ain beams with pride, even though it's just a job helping the owner make money. But there's a twist. The store isn't really selling bags. While she's organizing them, Ain accidentally triggers a hidden mechanism. As she tries to adjust a picture on the wall, her manager, Du, rushes over and quickly assigns her other tasks. It's as if the bags hold a secret that no one is meant to see. Suddenly, Gon calls Ain over. "Did you see any other number sequences at your old company?" he asks. Ain fires back. "I only said I saw the numbers. I didn't memorize them." Her explanation sounds reasonable, yet Gon isn't satisfied. He claims it's just a hobby. She's into numerology, apparently. Before long, Gon sends Ain off to get lunch. She barely has time to breathe when her former boss arrives. Ain's neighbors immediately start gossiping. "Have you ever seen a boss this persistent?" Shocked, Ain dials Kim Bon without delay. At the same time, one of Ain's neighbors pretends to browse through the bags while sending messages to everyone in the building chat. Ain's phone buzzes with the latest gossip, and her jaw drops. Kim Bon rushes back to his secret base to monitor the unfolding chaos. Gon informs him that Ain is now out and on the move, while the boss is acting like he owns the whole place, settling onto a sofa and casually asking Gon about Ain's salary and the import details of the bags. Gon shrugs and calls it a trade secret, though he suspects someone has noticed something fishy about the company. Then, in a surprising twist, the boss asks about the store's name, a hint that he might be trying to win Ain back. Not willing to let that happen, he calls Du over and announces in a booming voice, "Do you get a bonus for selling bags? Pack them all up for me. I'll buy them all." His sudden bulk order leaves everyone astonished. Shortly after, a neighbor sends a message to the group chat. Ain, hearing the buzz, pulls her ex-boss aside at a nearby cafe. "Why do you want to buy all the bags?" she demands. The boss feigns concern, saying he's just worried about his former employee and wants her to earn extra cash. But as suspicion grows, Kim Bon's questions echo in her mind. His team, meanwhile, meets to analyze the ex-boss's actions. It appears he never realized that they were spies. He might have simply wanted to approach Ain. At the same time, the neighborhood's secret surveillance network convenes. Their conclusion? The boss seems to have a soft spot for Ain, judging by his impulsive decision to purchase the entire inventory. Ain waves goodbye as she leaves the cafe, yet the boss isn't done. He even invites her into his car. "Why would I get in your car?" she retorts. "I don't even know what to eat for lunch," he explains, having driven all the way just to talk with his former secretary. Then he casually offers her some of the bags he just bought, saying he has too many. Just then, Kim Bon arrives and invites Ain to join him for lunch. Without waiting for her consent, the boss joins in as well. Kim Bon accepts the invitation and during lunch subtly questions the boss's motives. The boss defends himself, claiming he's merely checking on Ain's new job, surprised that she would even turn down his offer. Ain, however, firmly states she won't go back to him. She then offers Kim Bon some food, but the boss grumbles about being ignored. Quick on his feet, Kim Bon deftly turns the food toward the boss, cutting it with a knife in a way that impresses him. "I see why you're a nanny. You're very professional," the boss exclaims. Seizing the moment, Kim Bon promotes himself, suggesting that he can do much more than babysit. In fact, he hints at applying for Ain's old secretary position. The boss, curious and cautious, wonders what Kim Bon is up to, but Kim Bon soon realizes the boss has other plans. Plans that might threaten Ain. All the while, Ain worries about losing her amazing nanny. Later that evening, the boss instructs his driver to investigate Kim Bon. Exhausted from wrangling the twins, Kim Bon finally slumps onto his sofa. His younger daughter bursts in, shouting, "Sister's acting weird." They find his older daughter sweating and complaining, "My tummy hurts so bad." Fearing it might be appendicitis, Kim Bon rushes them to the hospital, carrying one child in each arm and even bumping into Ain along the way. The younger child darts to her mom, leaving Kim Bon with little time to explain as he races into the hospital, with Ain anxiously following close behind. After the examination, relief washes over everyone. The doctor points at the ultrasound screen and casually explains, "What's this?" "It's just a stool. It happens. Take her to the bathroom and watch her diet." The embarrassed girl, wishing she could disappear, thanks the doctor profusely. Later, Ain turns to Kim Bon, grateful for watching her kids. "Were you exhausted?" she asks. He shakes his head. Frustrated, she adds, "Why do you always say, 'I'm fine'? Just be honest. If you're tired, say so. If you're sad, say it." Kim Bon sighs, That's just how I've always been. I'm used to being tired. He then warns her to be cautious of her old boss, even though he had been nice once, reminding her of the time he even tied her up. Ain reassures him, though she admits she doesn't know much about Kim Bon. Despite everything, she trusts him implicitly. He doesn't seem like the lying type. Meanwhile, Gon feels like she's being followed. She pretends to examine something on the stairs, then suddenly leaps out and tackles her pursuer to the ground, landing a few solid blows. The man can't get up. Gon checks her phone and sees a photo. It's of Ain. Shocked, she realizes that their target is not herself, but Ain. Panicking, she calls Kim Bon and Du to the secret base, explaining that the former head of the NSA had asked her to investigate Ain. She even submitted her report with Ain's home address as a security test, never expecting things to escalate so fast. It's top secret information, and now there's clearly a leak. Someone overheard their conversation. At this point, Kim Bon reveals a secret from 3 years ago. While escaping enemies, he noticed a clover-shaped button on their clothes. Captured and held in a secret room, he was tortured until he was forced to confess. He saw that same clover button on his torturer's coat. Summoning every bit of strength, he escaped, and he spent years tracking down the origin of that clover. He suspects it's connected to his ex-girlfriend's murder. Then he wonders why the secret organization sent coordinates to his apartment building. What is the connection between that area, the clover, and the assassin's sudden appearance nearby? Let's narrow down our investigation, he declares. Meanwhile, back at the NIA, young Sil learns that Ain's documents are fake. Furious yet suspicious, she wonders, why fake documents? Was Ain setting a trap? Just after Gon tells Ain it's time to leave work, her old boss calls for a meeting and drops a bombshell about her nanny. Ain is stunned to learn that her trusted nanny has been caught shoplifting. 6 times, in fact. Even worse, the bag he gave her turns out to be the very one missing from the store days ago. Speechless, Ain stares at him as his phone rings. It's Ain's new boss calling. He answers briefly and then starts to leave. "Aren't you Mr. Gong Namam?" Ain calls out, startling Kim Bon. Taking a step back, she demands his real identity. He claims she misunderstood, apologizing for the lies. Slowly, Ain begins to see that he's hiding something. Kim Bon offers only a half-truth. His real name is simply Kim Bon, although he's also known as Gong Namam. He and Gon are friends who reconnected a month ago. When he learned that Ain had opened the store and needed help with staffing, he recommended her. Ain remains confused, unsure whether she can trust him. Kim Bon returns to his secret base, dejected. Gon warns him not to develop feelings for Ain. "Remember 3 years ago? If you can't control your emotions, you can't complete the mission, and you might get hurt," she admonishes, her voice tinged with concern. Angry, she storms off, leaving him to reminisce bitterly about his once happy relationship with his ex. "Wait for me to finish my mission, then we'll go to Paris, okay?" he murmurs, heartbroken that he couldn't protect her. Back at home, Kim Bon surveys the fish tank the twins gave him, a token of family love. He replaces it with a new rug, bookshelves, and toy cabinets arranged with Ain's help. Her presence fills his apartment with warmth and laughter. His son brings cars and robots. His daughter offers dolls. As he lies on the rug, bitter-sweet nostalgia washes over him. He wishes this happiness could last forever. Ain, restless from the night, wakes at 5 a.m. and checks the apartment across the street, only to find it silent. Did I scare him off? She wonders. The next morning, she asks the building manager for help finding someone to pick up the kids. The manager is surprised and whispers, "You're quitting?" Without further explanation, she leaves for work. Later, Gon calls Ain aside, reminding her that Kim Bon's real name is Kim Bon, not Gong, and asks if she really trusts him. So, Ain and Kim Bon meet at a small cafe. She thinks long and hard about everything that's happened. Although she once trusted him after talking to Gon, doubts now cloud her mind. "From now on," she declares firmly, "you're not my kid's nanny." Kim Bon is taken aback but respects her decision, apologizing for any inconvenience. He admits that he's been happy and fulfilled with the twins, even though deep down he's conflicted. Meanwhile, young Sil has her underlings investigate Ain. They scour through pictures of her with neighbors, and soon report that Ain is working at a handbag store. The next morning, young Sil herself goes to the store, but Ain isn't there. She's out, having asked the building manager to cover for her. Young Sil enters the store and, while waiting, gathers lots of gossip from the neighbors. When Ain returns, she's met by a small crowd. Young Sil demands a private conversation and quickly dismisses everyone else. The building manager looks annoyed. Apparently, they'd given young Sil valuable intel without even knowing her real name. Feeling cheated, she pulls out her business card. In the meantime, Rhea is left in charge of picking up the kids, but a momentary distraction means he loses track of them. Just then, Kim Bon calls. It turns out the kids have gone to his apartment. At Kim Bon's door, the twins start knocking, shouting, "Uncle, uncle, open the door!" Kim Bon, confused, grabs his gun and peers through the peephole, but sees no one. Then he opens the door to find the kids happily eating ice cream. They ask, "Did you come because we were too noisy? Did you get upset?" He gently explains he can't pick them up anymore. Saddened but reassured, they present him with a drawing, a picture of a handsome man with his name written on the back. Kim Bon nods in silent gratitude as the children beam with pride. Soon after, Rhea arrives at Kim Bon's apartment and is surprised to see all the kids' toys scattered around. He sighs, realizing that the rumors about Kim Bon and Ain might be true. Then he mentions that a woman visited the store that morning, looking for Ain and trying to recruit her for her company. Kim Bon asks, "What's her name?" "Young Sil," Rhea replies. Alarm flashes in Kim Bon's eyes as he leaps up. Meanwhile, young Sil is still in the store. The steady stream of customers makes her question her intel. If this were truly a spy front, why would so many people be shopping here? Ain then reveals a crucial detail. A system-wide sale is drawing the crowds, making the store look perfectly ordinary. Just then, Du arrives and spots young Sil, quickly alerting Gon. Young Sil then questions Ain about the store's operations, and Ain answers cautiously. Young Sil confesses that she's interested in recruiting Ain, but hearing Ain's demands, she suddenly realizes she might have targeted the wrong person. As young Sil stands up to take a call and leave, Ain rushes after her, insisting that she could start tomorrow. Young Sil is left speechless as Kim Bon appears from behind a bush. But before Ain can catch him, he vanishes into the fading light. That evening, while sharing cake with the building manager, Ain learns more suspicious details about young Sil. She discovers that young Sil had only asked about her late husband in her previous job interviews, and that the phone number on her card is disconnected. The company name yields no results. After young Sil's visit, Gon confirms that young Sil had forwarded Ain's report to the head of the NSA. Luckily, neither of them were at the store when this happened. Gon then offers Ain a leave of absence, a temporary escape from the chaos. Not long after, Kim Bon hands Du the ex-boss's business card, asking him to check its fingerprints. Kim Bon suspects that the boss might have documents related to the former NSA head's assassination, and that there's a mysterious coordinate clue involved. He also suspects the boss is using a fake identity, just like he once did. The next morning, Ain finds a letter taped to the store's door. It's the electricity bill, 2.5 million won. Was a hippopotamus using the store's electricity? She wonders aloud. To investigate further, Ain begins monitoring the building manager. She discreetly applies glow powder to the door and slips a marked piece of paper into the doorway. When the manager and Du enter later that night, the paper remains untouched, indicating they didn't leave. With the store lights off, Ain becomes suspicious of a hidden space. She opens a nearby door and an alarm suddenly blares in the basement, alerting the security team. On the monitors, they see Ain entering, moving toward the main power switch, and then turning off the power. The entire basement plunges into darkness. While the team downstairs is unsure what's happening, Ain uses the manager's footprints to guide her to a wall-mounted picture. Recalling Du's hint that a hallway leads elsewhere, she struggles to rotate the picture, and, much to her shock, a hidden staircase is revealed. Fear grips her as she descends into the unknown. When the backup power kicks in, the monitoring team sees Ain reappear, clearly distressed by her discovery. Kim Bon rushes to her side. He hugs her tightly, covers her eyes, and signals for Gon and Du to secure any documents they can find. Then he leads Ain outside to talk in private. Unsure how to explain everything, he is nonetheless relieved when Ain confesses that she's glad he isn't a bad guy. Kim Bon reveals that the store is merely a front for a secret intelligence operation, and he begs her to keep it confidential. All her questions are suddenly answered. Gon explains that they hired her because she once worked for the shady boss, prompting Kim Bon to protect her even more fiercely. Though his initial interest in babysitting was strategic, he's genuinely grown fond of the kids. Ain longs to stay, but Kim Bon refuses, fearing that staying would only put her in further danger. The very next morning, Gon meets with Ain again, urging her to return to work. He reveals a startling truth. The ex-boss's company has been laundering money for bribes and offers Ain a position as an informant. Later that night, Ain texts Kim Bon, asking for his driving license. To her surprise, his skills behind the wheel are so sharp that they nearly give the top Korean spy a heart attack. Kim Bon grabs some ice cream to calm his nerves. "Why do you want to learn to drive?" Ain asks, referring to Gon's offer for her to become an informant. In a burst of anger, Kim Bon calls Gon to complain, making Ain realize just how stressed he is. "Don't worry," she declares firmly. "I'll protect you." Her words warm his heart. Kim Bon then returns to his nanny duties, while Ain begins her new job as an informant. But is their fragile peace enough to last? That night, as darkness falls, a shadowy figure follows An. Sensing imminent danger, she runs into a nearby convenience store and calls Kim Bon. It's all just a test, she later learns. Meanwhile, the ex-boss obtains new intel on Gon and Do, but the organization suspects him of leaking the number sequences. They send an assassin after him. Narrowly escaping a bullet, the ex-boss flees in a taxi and, in a terrifying turn, kidnaps Ain once again. He threatens her life, forcing Gon and Do to retrieve an hourglass from his office within the next hour. Kim Bon, alerted to the danger, grabs his gun and races to the boss's company, unaware that he is being watched by a team of assassins sent by Young Sil. In a dramatic burst of action, Kim Bon bursts into the office. The assassin slips away, and Kim Bon pockets the hourglass, determined to make his escape. Do calls urgently, "Flee immediately!" But things quickly spiral out of control. Assassins block his path. In a daring move, he leaps from the third-floor staircase, landing safely. Even as a true top Korean agent, he finds himself cornered. Black-clad figures block the hallway, forcing him into a fierce fight. He takes down 5 attackers in minutes, then rushes to the basement and escapes in a vehicle. Just as he thinks he's free, Young Sil spots him and orders a high-speed chase. The chase is intense. Kim Bon speeds through winding streets, dodging multiple vehicles. Eventually, he stops and steps out calmly. After a tense game of cat and mouse, he faces Young Sil. "Welcome back, Mr. Kim Bon. Tired of running?" she sneers. "I have work to do. Wait for me," he replies, spotting an assassin among the crowd. Young Sil orders his capture, and in a split second, he leaps into a nearby river, sustaining a painful shoulder injury in the process. Meanwhile, Ain awakens to a nightmare. She finds herself tied up. The boss, his tone cold and commanding, orders her to stay calm and promises to release her once he gets what he wants. Just then, Gon appears behind the boss. Terrified, the boss raises his hands and backs away. Using the distraction, Gon shoves Ain and flees, but is quickly tackled by the boss. In the ensuing chaos, Do contacts Gon, revealing Kim Bon's latest location. They find him amidst a chaotic crowd, watching as he gets shot and then jumps into the river. Shocked, Young Sil orders a search party. Gon and Ain race to the riverbank in their car. The boss, meanwhile, watches silently as he unfastens his restraints and disappears into the night. Back in his secret base, Kim Bon had left because he worried about their safety. That very morning, before the kids woke, he'd seen men in black lurking near their building. He couldn't risk endangering them. Later, as Ain found a piece of milk candy left outside her door, a small message from Kim Bon, she dashed into the hallway, but he was already gone. Not to be outdone, she left a bag of fruit juice as a reply. For days, their silent conversation continued in this subtle exchange. Meanwhile, Kim Bon turned on the TV. Breaking news flashed everywhere about the ex-boss. He had killed his assistant and then escaped. Do, analyzing the reports, figured that the ex-boss's public escape meant it was time to track him down. 3 days later, starving and desperate, the ex-boss found a woman eating alone. He waited until she finished her meal before snatching her leftovers. Fleeing from assassins hot on his trail, he rushed to a dumpster, scavenging some ragged clothes for a disguise, transforming himself into a rather convincing, albeit shabby, handsome beggar. That same evening, as Ain walked home from work, she heard footsteps behind her. Quickening her pace, she felt the presence growing closer. Just as she was about to run, a figure pulled her into a dark alley. Heart pounding, she braced herself to scream. But then, to her surprise, it was the ex-boss. He looked terrible, desperate even. Before she could utter a word, he knelt down and pleaded, "I'm just a pawn. Please help me." Against her better judgment, Ain agreed to take him to the handbag store, a decision that would complicate matters further. Gon's team, meanwhile, scoured the area searching for the ex-boss. He trusted only Kim Bon, so he had asked Gon to contact him. Yet she hesitated. Finally, she scribbled a note for Kim Bon and prepared to spend the night under a bridge. Ain, worried, called him back and slipped the note into the milk delivery bag. Kim Bon received the intel and arranged a meeting with the ex-boss at the park at 10 p.m. At the park, the ex-boss arrived, visibly anxious and waiting for Kim Bon. He grabbed a payphone and called Ain to ask how much longer until Kim Bon would be there. Terrified and trembling, his legs shaking from fear of both assassins and ghosts, he pleaded, "3 more minutes, please. Be a man." His voice cracked as he begged her not to hang up. Suddenly, he noticed a security guard approaching. Hastily, he donned his hat, unaware that the guard was, in fact, a disguised assassin. Before he could react, the assassin struck, and the ex-boss was stabbed. Kim Bon burst onto the scene, rushing to his side as the ex-boss weakly grasped his hand. "Help me," the ex-boss gasped. "Don't worry," Kim Bon promised. "Even if I'm alone, I won't let you die." He swiftly carried the wounded man to a nearby maternity hospital. The doctor confirmed that although he'd lost a lot of blood, the wounds were not life-threatening, thanks to an emergency blood transfusion. The basement room was quickly cleaned to prevent further complications. Amid the chaos, Kim Bon pressed, "What about your earlier message? You wanted protection, right? Tell me about the mastermind's plans." But the ex-boss remained tight-lipped, insisting first on a safe place to hide. Soon a doctor and nurse arrived. Seizing the moment, Kim Bon urged, "Please hurry. Let him depart peacefully." The doctor, confident in his top-notch skills, replied, "Don't worry, we'll take care of him." As the doctor stepped out, Kim Bon called after him, "Hey, where are you going?" A scream echoed down the hallway, and Kim Bon heard the unmistakable click of a camera. Had his hideout been compromised? He rushed to the lobby only to find it empty. Had he imagined it all? In the meantime, Young Sil received a tip. "There's a dangerous group in that apartment building. Don't mess with those women. It's too much trouble." After evicting the men in black from the complex, the building manager headed to the handbag store, eager for gossip. A new message popped up in the group chat, a photo of Kim Bon. Someone even speculated that he was at the hospital with a newborn. After a moment of shock, Ain and Gon raced to the hospital, finding Kim Bon and the ex-boss together. They all breathed a collective sigh of relief. Gon then began interrogating the ex-boss, extracting details about the organization behind it all. The ex-boss revealed that his company was merely a front for smuggling illegal substances. He even disclosed the company's secret code, a code he'd only heard while blindfolded during his meetings with a mysterious boss. The organization was vast, with connections to the National Bank and even moles inside the National Intelligence Agency. Gon pressed further about his relationship with Young Sil, but the ex-boss mentioned only the hourglass, and that the USB drive inside was missing. Nobody knew that it was with Ain's daughter, who, thinking it was just a toy, had hidden it and shown it off to her friends. Its contents, as it turned out, held a nation's fate. Suspicions deepened when San Mei, a member of the kid organization, accused Ain's husband of cheating. In a daring act, she stole his phone while he was showering, handing it off to a neighbor. "She only has 20 minutes, Ree declared, acting like a pro. Ree then contacted the kid team. "I'm in the elevator. Everyone, get into position." He jumped into the building manager's car, speeding toward the handbag store to pick up Ain, then rushed to the secret base, handing Du the phone with, 2 minutes. Gon, unaware of their elaborate plan, entered the scene and was surprised to see Ain. She claimed she dropped something. Luckily, Do finished their task on time, and they sped back to the apartment complex. Meanwhile, outside the bathroom, Ain's wife, ever vigilant, listened as she panicked. "Oh no, he's almost done showering and my team isn't here yet," she called out to her team, frustrated with the delay. "Why are you so slow?" Ree said, as he was about to step into the elevator. Grabbing the doorknob, she begged her husband for help finding her missing earring, then bolted. Watching the elevator doors close, Ree appeared and handed her the phone before she could thank him. The doors shut, and trembling, she clutched the phone in her husband's jacket pocket. He emerged from the bathroom, checking for missed calls before getting dressed. Relieved, she listened to the recording, in English, not Korean, and together, Ain and Rai pieced together the identity of the man her husband had secretly met, along with the time and place. They raced to a nearby cafe, finding her husband and his mistress in a compromising embrace inside a car. Sun Mi was poised for payback. The mistress quickly exited the car and sped off. Though Sun Mi couldn't catch her, she confronted the mistress in a fierce fight. The woman claimed she was the CEO of a company and a business partner of her husband's. Realizing she had messed with a powerful man, the mistress apologized profusely, hoping her husband wouldn't lose his job. Later that evening, the husband calmly told her to cancel any plans for the next day and to stay home with the kids. She looked at him in surprise. Meanwhile, Du discovered a lead. A man with a deadly virus, one with a 90% mortality rate and no cure, was at a research institute. They met at the secret base, and Ain overheard a familiar word from her neighbor's husband's recording, a weapons deal. Apparently, a second exchange was being planned. Du, using the neighbor's phone, tracked the man to an elementary school. Although all the children were there for a speech, Du asked, "Why an attack at an elementary school? It's possible, but I didn't detect any bombs." Kim Bon replied coolly, "My daughter's there," and Ain gasped. The minister was giving a speech. None of them realized how dangerously close they were to the threat. Kim Bon and Ain rushed to the school. Amid the chaos, Ain panicked when she realized her kids were there. No one noticed a suspicious woman before she received instructions and left. Meanwhile, the minister was busy teaching the children proper hand-washing techniques. Then a security guard received a call from Gon, revealing her identity and warning of an impending terrorist attack. Ain quickly called the building manager, urging her to evacuate the auditorium immediately. The manager hesitated, thinking it was a movie scene, but finally trusted her neighbor and ordered Ree to hit the emergency button, and everyone evacuated in a frenzy. Outside, a woman in white, poised to detonate a bomb, heard the sirens. She turned slowly to see parents grabbing their children and fleeing. Waiting until the hall was empty, she approached the minister and easily knocked out the security guard. With a cold glint in her eyes, she pulled out a knife, aiming straight for his heart. Just then, Gon sprang into action, tackling the woman and engaging her in a fierce struggle. The minister escaped in the chaos, but Gon, exhausted, found herself nearly overpowered. At the critical moment, as the attacker raised her knife for a fatal blow, Gon managed to subdue her by handcuffing her. Meanwhile, deep in the basement, Kim Bon was tasked with disarming the bomb. With only 2 minutes left on the timer, he put on his special glasses that linked him directly to Du. He managed to disable the first layer, but a second layer of wiring remained. Only 30 seconds to spare. His hands trembled as he made the fateful decision. He cut the green wire. The timer halted with a mere 2 seconds to spare. Du exhaled in relief and asked, "Why green?" Kim Bon smiled ruefully. "Because Ain's daughter loves green." In the aftermath, the assassin and the neighbor's husband were taken away, but later both were found dead from gunshot wounds. The organization was always one step ahead. Gon was furious. Their efforts had been in vain. Kim Bon soon visited Ain and the kids, deeply worried about their safety. The twins clung to his legs, pleading, "Uncle, give us a nose kiss before you go." Though he promised to return, he explained that he still had work to do. "I must keep you safe," he said, leaving Ain's heart pounding with both relief and sorrow. Later, Kim Bon took the ex-boss to his secret base. The ex-boss stubbornly refused to reveal any secrets about the organization, even when they were safe. Frustrated, Kim Bon fumed. Then Ain called, filled with worry. "Have you eaten? Are you taking care of yourself?" The ex-boss, witnessing this tender moment, grew furious. Young Sil, having located Kim Bon's address, sent a team to search his apartment, only to find it empty. Meanwhile, Ain returned home and, seeing the door ajar, assumed Kim Bon had come back for something. As she entered to confront young Sil, the latter, enraged by the deception, ordered Ain's arrest. Gon immediately called the head of the NIA for help, but young Sil refused to release Ain unless she revealed information about Kim Bon. Fearing for Ain's safety, Kim Bon called Gon, declaring that he would surrender to the NIA. "The ex-boss will be picked up by someone, and I promise we'll meet again when things calm down," he assured her. Kim Bon arrived at the NIA headquarters where Gon handcuffed him, preparing to turn him over to young Sil. The head of the NIA warned young Sil against acting rashly, but she remained unyielding. Ain watched all of this anxiously. Gon then reassured her, whispering that it was Kim Bon's birthday, a secret signal for an escape plan. They arranged that his transport vehicle would stop near a sewer, allowing him to vanish while the vehicle exploded, faking his death. A perfect deception. But nothing ever goes exactly as planned. The drop-off point was not as expected. Gon immediately sensed something was wrong, but before she could react, the car exploded. The twins, playing by the fish tank, cried out in horror as they discovered the one named after Kim Bon was gone. "Mom, Uncle's dead!" they wailed. Ain panicked, fearing the worst. The ex-boss, hearing about Kim Bon's supposed death, was terrified for his own life and quickly disappeared. Devastated by the news, Ain went to work, only to learn from Gon that the store was closing, and she was laid off. That night, overwhelmed by grief, Ain wept alone. Yet amidst her sorrow, she resolved to take the kids to Jeju Island for a fresh start. She soon found a job at a small cafe, trying to rebuild her shattered world. One day, during a delivery at the beach, she spotted a man sitting on a bench, a figure she vaguely recognized. As she approached, her heart skipped a beat. It was Kim Bon. He pulled her into a warm hug and softly asked, "Are you okay?" "I moved farther than you thought," she replied, a small smile breaking through her tears. They talked quietly about his injuries and his narrow escape, how someone had even handed him the keys to his handcuffs before the explosion. "You were the first person I wanted to call," he admitted. She introduced him to her twins and even to her parents as their nanny. The kids instantly adored him, and at their insistence, he stayed over for dinner. That night, his boisterous sleeping style kept the whole house awake, yet the warmth of his presence made the darkness a little less lonely. The next morning, they all went to the beach. Ain's siblings and Kim Bon talked about the future, sharing hopes and dreams. Du was stunned to see Kim Bon alive, and Gon couldn't help but cry, asking, "How did you escape?" Kim Bon, still full of mystery, wanted to find out who had truly saved him. Everything was shrouded in uncertainty. Later, the building manager, while bringing water to her son's room, discovered a USB drive under his bed, a video so terrifying it sent shivers down her spine. She immediately called Ain to arrange a meeting, but an assassin overheard the conversation and stole both the USB and her wallet. Ain arrived moments later, shocked to find the manager unconscious, and called for an ambulance. Although the manager was only slightly injured, with a stiff neck and a bruise, Ain's fury burned. She demanded, "What did you see on the USB?" The manager showed her a grainy picture. "Is this him?" Ain asked. "Yes, that's him," the manager replied, pleading that it remain a secret, even from those she trusted. Ain returned to the scene where the manager had been attacked, desperate to retrieve the missing USB. But it was gone. She suspected that the thief's true target was the USB, not the wallet. This was serious. Back at the secret base, Ain told Gon everything. Her husband's death on the same day as the NSA head, the shared killer, and the secrets they'd kept from her. Tearfully, she vowed she'd go to the police if necessary. Gon explained that some things were too dangerous for law enforcement. That was why the secret organization existed. They had approached Ain initially because her husband was a key witness, but now Kim Bon's sole mission was to protect her and her children. He did it because they meant everything to him. He couldn't bear to see them suffer. Ain returned home, gazing at family photos and crying softly. Gon later told Kim Bon that Ain knew everything. Overcome with guilt, Kim Bon hesitated before ringing her doorbell. Standing outside, he listened to her soft cries, feeling a deep sadness of his own. Meanwhile, Ain's neighbors reviewed the security footage, only to find the day's recordings had been deleted. Shocked, they managed to retrieve one final piece of evidence. Du visited the manager with a bouquet of flowers, discreetly collecting what he needed, even as the manager scolded him for being too forward. Elsewhere, the ex-boss had contacted the organization during Kim Bon's disappearance, plotting to become a double agent. He handed over Kim Bon's computer and his own files to gain trust, all in an attempt to meet the elusive mastermind. He later met with Ain, sincerely apologizing for his part in her husband's death. "I don't expect forgiveness," he murmured, "but I want you to understand, I'm a coward, terrified of death." Ain demanded that he cooperate with Kim Bon to find the mastermind. If he didn't, she swore she'd never forgive him. Barely a moment after she left, the ex-boss received a call from the mastermind. Unaware that the USB was now in their hands, the mastermind's fury mounted as plans were set in motion to eliminate him. The ex-boss, once a coward, had a sudden change of heart. He decided to become a double agent to help Kim Bon finish the mission. Kim Bon and his team equipped him with special glasses linked to a camera so Kim Bon could watch over him if danger struck. At the meeting, the glasses revealed the mastermind's face, Chun Sang, the president's secretary. The ex-boss sat down and began revealing the location of the mysterious bags. In a tense moment, Chun Sang produced the USB drive and sneered, "Trying to blackmail me?" But the ex-boss didn't flinch. "Even if you kneel, I won't forgive you," Chun Sang continued, clearly shocked by his defiance. Then in a stunning twist, the ex-boss revealed he still had secret files and warned that if he died, they'd all be released. Suddenly, Chun Sang signaled to his guards. Before things could escalate further, the ex-boss dropped a bombshell. He told Chun Sang that Kim Bon had a safety deposit box in Switzerland and that he possessed the key. In a dramatic turn, Chun Sang ordered his guards to halt their advance. The ex-boss then offered the key in exchange for a job. After identifying Chun Sang as the mastermind, Kim Bon's team launched an investigation into him. They discovered that he kept crucial documents at his home, a house that was guarded around the clock by cameras. Breaking in wouldn't be easy, so the team hatched a plan. They learned that his house was hiring a housekeeper. Gon suggested sending someone undercover. They studied the housekeeper's habits and background, noting her mysterious nature and key role in the household. Gon then approached Ayin, asking her to join the plan, a chance for revenge for her husband. Determined, Ayin agreed to apply. While discussing the plan with her neighbors, Ayin learned that the housekeeper was eccentric and demanding, but she had a soft spot for handsome men and a passion for kimchi. Ayin, who made excellent kimchi herself, began buying ingredients. Kim Bon strongly opposed Ain's participation, fearing for her safety, but Gon insisted that Ayin wanted to catch her husband's killer on her own. One day, while Kim Bon watched from afar, Ayin surprised him by gifting him a present made by her kids. A birthday wish wrapped up in a small token. Touched, Kim Bon asked if she had another gift. She mentioned she had prepared a special meal for him, but had ended up discarding it, leaving him disappointed. When he asked about a new job opportunity, she dodged the question, claiming she was starting as a chef at her sister's restaurant in Busan. The very next day, Ayin traveled to Chun Sang's house for an interview. Gon followed closely, warning her to be cautious. Inside, 3 candidates, all referrals, waited. The housekeeper quizzed them and even asked Ayin to tie up her hair. Midway, Ayin's earpiece buzzed. The first candidate made a mistake and was promptly dismissed. Ayin then expertly identified ingredients during a taste test, proving herself the only one to pass. As a final gesture, she presented the housekeeper with a jar of her homemade kimchi, winning her over. However, the housekeeper warned her that the security system would activate after sunset. Ayin hurried to find Gon, but before she could reach him, a shadowy figure appeared. Sensing imminent danger, she ducked into a dark alley. Just as she reached for her phone to call Gon, a gun was pointed at her head. Terrified, she pleaded for her life, only to realize that the gun was aimed by none other than Kim Bon, holding a toy gun. His playful trick left her both scared and relieved. He asked if this was her workplace, explaining that he wanted her to understand the constant dangers of espionage. the real threat of death. He was genuinely worried about her safety. Despite her fear, Ain insisted she'd pass the interview and stay determined. As Kim Bon drove her home, he warned her to always have an escape plan if her true identity was discovered. With that, he promised to train her in undercover techniques, starting with a morning run. It was torture for Ain, who heard his constant reminders. "Be careful, trust me," over and over. Meanwhile, the head of the National Intelligence Agency, NIA, called Gon, ordering her and Du to shut down the operation, convinced that Kim Bon was dead. Gon pleaded for a month to wrap things up. They reluctantly agreed. As she left, Gon questioned why Kim Bon seemed to know so much about his time in Switzerland. Caught off guard, she lied, claiming ignorance, though she secretly suspected something was amiss. That very morning, Ain stealthily entered a mansion. Her first day on the job wasn't going smoothly. The housekeeper assigned her to the kitchen and warned her not to leave. Ain spent the day peeling garlic, all while her team quietly observed and collected useful intel. No one but the housekeeper was allowed on the second floor. The doors there were always locked, only opened by the housekeeper during cleaning. The next day, Ain discreetly slipped out of the kitchen, retrieved a hidden camera from the cleaning closet, and attached it cleverly to the vacuum cleaner. Perfect, she thought. When the housekeeper noticed and asked, Ain claimed she was merely curious about the vacuum cleaner. The housekeeper scolded her and closed the closet, then announced, "Today's task, peeling onions." Bored but alert, Ain peeled onions as her team watched, wondering when they'd uncover the truth. Suddenly, the vacuum cleaner was activated. The housekeeper took it upstairs and Ain's team observed via the hidden camera. They spotted a safe behind a stack of books. Realizing they needed Chun Sang's fingerprints and a lockpicking expert, the team found one and purchased the necessary technology. But then young Sil found out. Despite the expert's best efforts at secrecy, he ended up confessing under interrogation. The next day, Kim Bon's team planned an attack. The ex-boss had mentioned that the safe likely contained a client list and that he'd be flying to Switzerland with his secretary that night. The perfect opportunity. Ain would trip the breaker to cut the power, forcing them to call an electrician and pose as repairman. Ain warned that the housekeeper was formidable and wouldn't let strangers in. Recalling her neighbor's advice, they decided to exploit the housekeeper's weakness. Handsome men. The next day, Kim Bon, posing as an electrician, charmed the housekeeper with his good looks. It worked. As he was led upstairs, the housekeeper offered him a drink. He claimed he needed to check the second floor. Sensing her hesitation, he used his charm to gain access to the library. Ain couldn't believe it. Kim Bon pretended to check the computer while the housekeeper stared at him, and he even faked a cough to mask his true intentions. At that moment, Gon signaled the team, alerting Ain that they were in motion. Suddenly, a glass shattered downstairs. The housekeeper rushed to investigate, but Ain had dropped a plate. Panic set in among her team. The housekeeper yelled, "What happened? Who did that?" "I'm so sorry," Ain stammered. Meanwhile, young Sil informed the NIA head about Kim Bon's attempted intrusion into the president's secretary's house. The NIA head, alarmed, headed to their base, where he found a note with the secretary's address. He called Gon, asking about Kim Bon. Du panicked, and soon they called Kim Bon to leave immediately. Gon and Du left first. Later, the president's secretary received a warning and told his driver to return home, canceling his Switzerland trip. The ex-boss, sensing trouble, secretly texted someone until the driver noticed him. Kim Bon eventually opened the safe and discovered a trove of money alongside a secret list. The alarm blared. The housekeeper rushed upstairs. Ain, still on her earpiece, asked Kim Bon about the situation. The safe had an alarm system that meant security and police would arrive soon. As Kim Bon was leaving, the housekeeper burst in, yelling, "Thief!" He knocked her out and fled to the garden, where Ain was waiting. There, he saw an assassin about to shoot Ain. Without hesitation, Kim Bon leaped in front of her. Seeing his wound, Ain panicked. Kim Bon quickly handed her a bag, urging her to escape and protect its contents. He fought the assassin, but was quickly overpowered. As the assassin raised his gun for what could have been a fatal shot, Kim Bon braced himself. Ain heard a gunshot and, in a rush of adrenaline, assumed Kim Bon had been hit. She couldn't let him fail her mission. She ran. It turned out it wasn't Kim Bon who was shot, it was the assassin. saved by Young Sil's intervention. The assassin escaped. Later, Young Sil confronted Kim Bon with a cold, "You owe me one." Meanwhile, Gon and Du returned to their base, chastised by the NIA head for not revealing that Kim Bon was still alive. Strangely, some of his statements didn't add up. Why did he know so much about the top secret intel? News of Kim Bon's injury reached him, and they rushed to the hospital. Gon mistakenly suspected Young Sil, only to be told that she'd saved Kim Bon. She suspected that the NIA head had tipped her off. Gon then informed Aang about Kim Bon's injury. Relieved that he was alive, Aang felt a surge of gratitude. Gon advised her to stay home and not make calls to avoid drawing attention, but Aang insisted on checking on him. Disguising herself as a nurse, she visited Kim Bon and delivered critical files. Gon beamed, mission accomplished. Later, the NIA called, urging Gon to hand over Kim Bon's files, insisting they'd be safer with her. Though she agreed, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As Aang departed, Young Sil arrived. She produced forged NIA evidence from 3 years ago and interrogated him. The deportation papers revealed that the NIA head and the ex-boss had left on the same day. Suddenly, Kim Bon realized the NIA head was corrupt. Young Sil then contacted the person who had saved Kim Bon, revealing that the NIA head had orchestrated the explosion 3 years ago. It was all a setup. Gon stormed to the NIA head's office, praising her past achievements, then demanding the files to see what they'd discovered at the president's secretary's house. When Gon questioned the secretary's relationship with the NIA head, he lied that he didn't know him. Gon wasn't convinced. She pretended to forget the files, promising to fetch them soon. Outside, uneasy and replaying every detail in her mind, Gon couldn't believe her superior was a traitor. The NIA had even ordered her elimination. In the chaos, someone stole Gon's bag as she tried calling Kim Bon. Kim Bon, realizing Gon was in trouble, quickly handed Young Sil the crucial documents in his possession. His plan was to confront the NIA head directly. Young Sil then handed him her card to unlock the files. The NIA head, finding nothing incriminating in Gon's bag, frantically called the president's secretary and began deleting data. Kim Bon arrived, demanding answers. He confronted the secretary about his ex-girlfriend's murder and Gon's death. The NIA coldly claimed that their organization had to be eliminated. Kim Bon knew he wouldn't kill the secretary, especially with his gun pointed steadily at him. Just then, Young Sil appeared, urging calm. The secretary had already fled. They needed the NIA head's testimony. Reluctantly, Kim Bon agreed. Later, in a somber moment, Kim Bon mourned over Gon's bag, feeling responsible for her demise as he had tried to protect Aang. Du wept quietly, mourning for Gon. Aang received the heartbreaking news. Gon was in a coma, but still alive. Du knew they had to finish Gon's unfinished business. In a turn of events, Kim Bon was cleared, reinstated as a top agent, and even promoted. Young Sil informed him that the NIA head would soon be taken to headquarters for interrogation, with Kim Bon leading the questioning. Meanwhile, the assassin received a call from the president's secretary, ordering him to flee and avoid trouble. He left with a fake passport, but his injuries forced him to stop at a pharmacy. A woman recognized him, but he brushed her off. Later, she recognized him in a photo of the suspected kidnapper and discreetly contacted the others. Soon, many arrived, but none dared to approach when he reached for his gun. 2 police officers eventually arrived, and he was arrested. The building manager reported the kidnapping to the police, but without solid evidence, the officers only confirmed that he had vanished. The next day, the NIA head was taken in for questioning. Du and Kim Bon then investigated a car that had hit Gon, identifying the driver as the same person who'd been transporting the NIA head. Kim Bon called Mayor Young Sil, but it was too late. The car had already vanished. Suddenly, the NIA head's vehicle veered off course, blocking pursuers. It escaped. Kim Bon tracked it to a tunnel, suspecting that was their escape route. When backup arrived, the car was empty. Du searched for any possible escape routes, but found none. It seemed they were planning to flee the country. Kim Bon recalled the ex-boss's desperate call reporting any new intel. Mayor Young Sil had since brought in a tech expert who'd given the NIA head a pen equipped with a recording and tracking device. They could now locate him. The NIA had met with the president's secretary, planning an escape on a boat in 4 hours using a third country to avoid customs. They called the ex-boss, who was stunned. The secretary explained that the Swiss safety deposit box still hadn't been dealt with and urged him to join them. The ex-boss was confused. Hadn't they realized he was a double agent? He phoned Kim Bon, who warned him that it was a trap. But the ex-boss, desperate for a chance at survival, decided to risk it. Du handed him a tracker. The ex-boss arrived at the designated location, protected by Young Sil's team, while Kim Bon watched from a hidden spot. It was a perfect sniper location. Suspecting an assassination attempt, he warned over his earpiece, "This is a trap." Just then, a gunshot rang out. The ex-boss fell. Kim Bon rushed to his side, shielded by police presence. He felt responsible for the ex-boss's safety. Meanwhile, the president's secretary demanded a pin from the NIA head. Du received a signal from the pin's tracker, and Kim Bon's team gave chase as the NIA head and the secretary waited for their boat. A car suddenly crashed into them. Chaos erupted as they ran. Kim Bon opened fire, killing the assassins and pursuing the fleeing pair. The NIA head held the secretary hostage, threatening that if he died, nothing about Switzerland would ever be revealed. Kim Bon couldn't believe the NIA head's treachery. He shot him in the arm. Soon, reinforcements arrived and captured both the NIA head and the secretary. A month later, Kim Bon and Ayin visited the ex-boss's grave. Ayin prayed that he was finally at peace. On the drive home, she asked about the Swiss safety deposit box. Kim Bon revealed with a bittersweet smile that it was all a lie. He returned to his life, surprising his neighbors when they asked, "Is he a model?" Meanwhile, Ayin's kids were thrilled every time Kim Bon picked them up. They all agreed he'd make a great dad. Ayin landed a new, unusual job and went for an interview, only to find Mayor Young Sil waiting. Thanks to Kim Bon, the kids, once lazy and stubborn, had become disciplined and tidy. They'd grown to see him as a father figure. But now Kim Bon had to leave for another mission, telling the kids, "Take care of your mom. I promise I'll be back soon." Before his departure, Kim Bon and Ayin visited Gon in the hospital. Gon was awake but couldn't walk yet, while Du and Ayin tended to her, easing Kim Bon's worries. Kim Bon then boarded his plane. As he prepared for his next assignment, an assassin appeared, choosing a vantage point. In another room, Kim Bon loaded his legendary gun. The assassin spotted him, but before any harm could come, the assassin died unexpectedly. A year passed. At a Seoul cafe, many young women gathered, really to catch a glimpse of the handsome owner. It turned out the ex-boss was alive, given a new identity by Kim Bon, new papers, a new name. Mayor Young Sil had become the head of the NIA and began recruiting Ayin, who excelled at her new job. One day while chatting with her neighbors, the mayor arrived. They all knew her only as the handbag store owner. After the neighbors left, she handed Ayin a new mission. Go to a cafe, receive a package, change clothes, retrieve a suitcase from a locker at the subway station, and head to a specific location. Scanning her surroundings, Ayin remembered the promise she'd made to Kim Bon. Suddenly, she turned to see him standing there. Tears welled up in his eyes as he softly asked, "You didn't forget me, did you?" Touched, Ayin whispered, "I missed you." Together, they opened the suitcase, and inside lay their next mission, to pose as a married couple, complete with a pair of rings. It was a long-term assignment, a promise of a future they would build together. If you like the story, please subscribe and leave a comment. I'm excited to provide similar stories for you to enjoy in the future.